What is up, everybody? It's your boy Verse here today, and we're going to talk about the topic of Game Pass cannibalizing sales, says Microsoft. So this is a statement that Microsoft has stated during the I guess like during the whole Microsoft acquired Activision Blizzard, that whole um, thing that's still going on right now, which I'm getting kind of tired of looking at, to be honest. Like, I just kind of want to see it when it's all said and done. If they're gonna get it, they're gonna acquire Activision Blizzard or not. It's like, what's gonna be the conclusion of this? But this is something that popped up in the whole discourse about the acquisition. Is Game Pass cannibalizing sales? Says Microsoft. So it is. They say it is doing it. So I've been seeing this topic for the last past 2 days to a day to decide if I really want to do a video on this, because it's kind of like, this is kind of like a no-brainer. Like, no crap, Sherlock, that Game Pass would cannibalize game sales for the games that just released on Game Pass. It's like, if you have the option of buying a game for full price, let's say for Atomic Heart, for instance, the game is coming to Game Pass very soon. Um, you can buy it full price for 60 or 70 bucks, or you can just play it on Game Pass. What do you think majority of people who have Game Pass are gonna do? Actually buy the game after they play it on Game Pass the same time? Maybe they might do it afterward, like maybe months away when it's like heavily discounted. But why would you buy the same game that released on Game Pass at full price? So I was like, I didn't really know what to really go with this topic, because it seemed like common sense to me. But people are spinning this whole thing that, people just don't buy games on Xbox anymore because of Game Pass. And that's not true. That's not what the statement that Phil Spencer made meant. It means that when a game first comes out on Game Pass, they're not going to buy it. They're just not going to buy it separately. They're going to play it on Game Pass, because it's common sense. Like, why would you buy the game, just rent it on Game Pass? Unless it's leaving the service. Like, for instance, they got a few games that's leaving the service that's coming up recently. That's coming out right now. I might buy some of those games for leaving the service. Like, I know Octopath Traveler is leaving the service. I might actually pick that up because I missed the chance to play it on Game Pass. I might pick it up on Xbox. So that is an instance where, hey, they might get some additional sales because people might take advantage of the games leaving Game Pass and get a discount on those games. So it doesn't completely just halt and just stop sales, as these fanboys and media outlets are trying to tell you. Like, there's just, hey, nobody's buying games on Xbox. It's just dumb. As we see, like, as I did the video before about Hogwarts Legacy being in the top 3 most played on Xbox, and to play Hogwarts Legacy, you need to buy that game for full price. So it's like, it's obvious that people are buying games on Xbox in general. But people want to push narratives. They want to push different narratives to make Sony look so amazing. When it's like, it's just dumb. Like, you use common sense. Like, most of these people are adults. You have common sense. You've lived an entire adult life. You know that, hey, nobody's gonna buy something if you can just rent it. Why would you buy it at that point? Like, pretty sure Microsoft figured that out while they were designing Game Pass. They said, hey, these games gonna be your first party games gonna be in Game Pass day one. I'm pretty sure they figured that out into their business strategy right there. But just the fact that people are just questioning what a $1 trillion company is doing. I'm pretty sure the average person couldn't even fathom like what $1 trillion even is. Like, they even write that down, or even like to think of that much money in person. But they know so much more about business than this $1 trillion company. Is just fascinating to me. You don't see all these other different companies like Paramount, Peacock, Amazon, Netflix. They're on a subscription model. It's like, even the video game company as well, Ubisoft. They all got subscription models as well. But Game Pass just has no idea what they're doing with their subscription model. Okay, apparently. Well, let's see what people have to say about this. I think everybody knew this. The question is, the sub revenue justifies a reduction in base sales. If they don't speak to that, there's nothing to discuss. That should be common sense, lol. Yeah, you would think it's common sense that, hey, they're not gonna get as many sales as like a PlayStation, who don't, like, if you compare like a game that's on Game Pass, they released on Game Pass, they went to a game that's on PlayStation for full price. Obviously, the one on PlayStation is gonna sell more because you have no option of a Game Pass. You have to buy the game to get a day one. So, and you think that's common sense, but to some people, it's not common, because I don't know why this topic even blew up to begin with. But water is wet. Is this actual news? The whole point for Microsoft to do this is to sell more consoles and Game Pass subscriptions. If they can keep games coming in, they keep the subscription revenue pouring in. Yeah, because Game Pass leads to more game sales. It's like, obviously, if you're saving money on a day one release, a big day one AAA title, and that's because it's on Game Pass, you're gonna buy. You're gonna look likely to spend that money you're gonna buy for that day one game on other games as well. Either if it's games on sale or if it's games leaving a service, you're gonna spend that money elsewhere. So it does lead to more sales. I can see why it's leading to more sales, but I guess other people think otherwise. As a gamer, why should I care? Game Pass is beneficial for me. That is what matters. Ultimately, this is the ultimate thing right there. Because as long as I get the benefits of Game Pass, then why do we care as gamers? It's like we're getting the ultimate benefit. Like we're getting these games for $10 or $15 a month. These hundreds of games. Like why do we really care at that point? If they're making or losing money or not? Like it's not my responsibility to care if they're making money or not. I just gotta enjoy the games, enjoy the product. PlayStation hold games hostage to one platform, lowers game sales. Kind of true. That is what's kind of lowering game sales right there. You just release the games on one platform. Like, how many more sales could Final Fantasy VII Remake get if it was on Xbox day one? A lot more sales. Or even Spider-Man, for example. Game Pass is awesome. I played many indie games that I would have never heard of. In fact, there's a lot of games that's on Game Pass I probably wouldn't have played before, but because on Game Pass I get to experience these games, which our Game Pass is definitely an amazing service right there. It might hurt the big developers, but it certainly helps to drive them more exposure to the smaller companies. Yeah, like for example, High on Life. Who heard of Squatch Games before? Like who would have followed their games before, or even probably even purchased their games? But now because High on Life is on Game Pass, got a lot of success. So if they release a High on Life 2, I'm buying that. If it's not on Game Pass, I'll buy it day one. If it is on Game Pass, I'll just buy it on Game Pass. But I'm definitely looking forward to a sequel if they ever do one for High on Life. Or even what was the other game? A Hi-Fi Rush. Same thing for that one. If they release a sequel that's on Game Pass, I'll play it on Game Pass. If they don't release it on Game Pass, I'll buy it full price without being on Game Pass. Because they built that they built that rapport with, hey, these games are amazing. People want to buy the next one. So let's see. I'm shocked that Microsoft didn't realize that prior to release. I'm pretty sure they did realize that. I'm pretty sure they know how it's going to turn out. Wasn't that the point to have an actual subscription long term versus a single purchase? Next, we'll learn that streaming services hurt the sale of DVDs. Yeah, it's kind of common sense that streaming sales will definitely take a dip in DVD sales. Same with video games. Game Pass is really poor at the moment. Limited value in it. Meanwhile, they drop in. People can't stop talking about Game Pass, but it's really poor at the moment. That's fascinating. You know, it was a service that was really poor that people didn't talk about at all was that Ouya service or the Google Stadia, and they're both, they don't exist anymore. But a service has been talked about consistently from the fans and the haters of it. I'm pretty sure it's not poor at the moment. It's not limited value. People keep talking about it. But isn't that the point of Game Pass? Like Warner knows they'll sell less DVD copies of a movie when they have a streaming service. Let's see, that's why I want to do the videos about this because it's kind of like this is common sense. It's gonna sell less. Like it should be an obvious point. Like, but I guess common sense is not common to a lot of people at this point apparently. Because the fact that people did a whole narrative is based on this, saying, "Hey, people don't buy games on Xbox." Well, it's like, no, it's that people don't. It doesn't make any sense to buy a game that just released for full price or the game on a service that you can just rent the game. And that doesn't make sense. The average person's not going to do that. Maybe some real diehards might do that, but the average person's not going to do that. Is this really news? Yeah, it's news. These media outlets all decided to publish this story. Well, duh. Yeah, it's very obvious. I sleep well knowing I pay for my games. Because that makes a difference whether you rent or pay your game. If you pay for them, all right. As long as you're playing the game, that's all that matters. Can gamers think for once? Devs get paid for putting their games on Game Pass. It's the choice they make and make even more money for them than those game sales would have had. Number of copies sold is not everything. That is true. It seems like a lot of people are still in this archaic form of thinking that only game sales, the physical copies you sell matter. When it's like, You're forgetting the whole subscription model, the whole what is it, microtransaction purchase, the DLC matters as well. All that additional revenue they're getting from these different services now, it's like you can't just go by copies being sold, and that's the whole determining factor. That's not the determining factor anymore. This isn't the 90s or early 2000s. It's like it has evolved at this point. So, like you see, more companies are putting their stuff on. More companies have streaming services now. They have subscription services, so they want that consistent revenue than that one-time purchase revenue. So, I guess people just can't understand that things have evolved, and the way we count success in gaming has evolved too at this point. So I don't know. I really want to be done with this topic until like some actual like significant news happening in this Activision Blizzard mergers, when like they actually acquire the company or they get declined. I just want to report on news at that point. But until then, it's like people are just stretching, just reaching for anything at this point. Like this should be common sense. Like most people you comment threads say this is common sense. Why is this even being reported? I don't know. It's a slow news day for a lot of these companies. It's like, Sony fanboys are gonna try to run with some type of narrative that nobody buys games, so they're gonna run with this narrative. But yeah, it's just dumb overall. It's like it's obvious and common sense at this point. But I am gonna conclude it right here. Definitely want to see your thoughts down below. Leave a like if you like this video. And as always, thanks for watching, and peace.